The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Here's what's cooking. On today's Sports Stove Football Show, we continue our NFL preview. On the night the NFL kicks off the preseason, we're previewing the AFC North. That's what's cooking on today's Sports Stove Football Show. Welcome in to an all-new edition of the Sports Stove Football Show presented by Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution at righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code STOVE15, that's STOVE15, to get 15% off your purchase. Well, on a day that has been full of baseball news, we're talking football. I'm Vince Stover, joined as I am every week by my dad, Dale Stover. Dad, good to have you back. How are you?
Good to be back. Sorry I missed last week, but looking forward to talking the AFC North tonight. And like I said, we got the Hall of Fame game tonight, so football's here and moving right along.
Moving right along for sure. And we have been through so many of the divisions so far. We've got this one and two more to go. And of course, tonight is the kickoff of the Hall of Fame game as well. So we actually have live football on tonight, which is pretty crazy also. But the name of the game today is talking the AFC North, and we are going to get things started with where are we going? We're going to the Baltimore Ravens first. Let's get the right screen up. There it is. Baltimore Ravens first. Each category, what we're doing is we're doing breakout players, make or break players, depth chart battles, and then we'll talk about the win totals and floor and ceiling for each team. Baltimore, a loaded team. They've added some things this offseason as far as offensive players and defensive players. They've already had an injury. Isaiah Likely is out for about 6 weeks, they're saying, which puts them almost there week one. We'll see how that one shakes down as well. But let's start with breakout players. And, Dad, I'll let you kick us off. A breakout player for Baltimore Ravens.
Well, Baltimore always has a good defense, and so I think there's a couple of guys on defense that'll break out, but we'll start with Nate Wiggins, the cornerback. I think he's set to do real well this year. And, again, Baltimore always seems to have a good defense, and, they'll need to have. And so we'll go with Nate Wiggins.
Yeah, Nate Wiggins, a first-round draft pick in 2024. I like that, Dad. I was thinking secondary as well. I'm going with a rookie, and I know that's kind of odd to do for a breakout year, but Malachi Starks, the safety, first-round pick this last year, I think he is just in the perfect situation and the perfect system to have a massive year as a rookie. And I think that we're going to see a breakout year immediately from Malachi Starks. I think he's going to be, when you think of Baltimore Ravens safeties, I think he's going to fit right into that and have quite the stellar year in his rookie season. So both of us go with the defensive backfield for breakout players. Now let's go to make or break player, a player that needs to go this year to go well for their career for sure. So, Dad, we'll let you kick this one off as well.
Well, this is an easy one from our old team, but I think it's Jair Alexander. If he's going to continue on in his career, and he's already had a physical problem here in training camp, but if he's going to continue to have a 2 or 3 more year career, then he'll need to be productive and be able to stay on the field this year. So, Jair Alexander.
Yeah, Jair Alexander's that's a good pick, Dad. I considered him also and could have went with him too. I'll go with DeAndre Hopkins. Again, just aging a little bit as a receiver. They've got Rashad Bateman and Zay Flowers. Also, he's floated around a little bit, landed a few different places. This is kind of, we're already on the tail end, I think, anyhow, of his at least effectiveness in his career. This is kind of his last shot, I think, to have, that signing where there's expectation for him, unless he comes out and fulfills those expectations this year. I think DeAndre Hopkins is at a turning point in his career, or could be at a turning point if he does not have a good season this year. I also thought about Mark Andrews possibly in this spot. I thought Isaiah Likely was going to take his job. The injury definitely helps Andrews. There's a lot of talk about Andrews getting traded this around the draft and things like that too. So, he needs a big year to get another big contract, after this season as well. But I think Hopkins and Alexander probably go in line before that, in my opinion, also. All right, Dad, let's talk about depth chart in Baltimore. Is there something you're keeping an eye on as far as depth chart goes in Baltimore?
Well, again, I think it's a defense, and I got the cornerbacks. Again, I think Wiggins is going to have a good year. He'll be having a battle with Jaw Humphreys, and just for the 2 or 3 positions in the defensive backfield there. So I'll go cornerback.
Yeah, I'm with you. I got cornerback also. There's a lot of guys there. Nate Wiggins, they signed a Woozy this offseason. TJ Tampa's there. Jal Alexander comes in as well. Marlon Humphrey's there too. So, yeah, there's a lot going on in that defensive backfield for Baltimore, and I think it's going to be intriguing to see who steps up, who wins the starting role, who gets the most snaps, all that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of talent there. I'm intrigued to see how it plays in. And then another one, it's not really a depth chart battle, so it doesn't really fit in perfectly, but they drafted Mike Green in the second round as an edge rusher, and they've got edge rushers in Kyle Van Noy and in Odafe Owe. So, I don't expect Mike Green to jump up and start or anything like that, but I'm intrigued to see how they use him, where they plug him in at, how often he gets to play here in his rookie season as well. I think that's a pretty interesting thing to watch. All right, let's go. Win total for Baltimore this year is 11.5. Pretty high win total for Baltimore. And so when we get this, we talk about the floor and the ceiling for Baltimore. And Dad, obviously well coached, a lot of talent on the team, MVP quarterback, all that good stuff. Where do you see Baltimore fitting into that 11.5, and where do you have the floor and the ceiling this year?
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit there, but I'll go over 11.5. I think you said what it was. And I have 13 for the ceiling and 10 for the floor.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'm not super far off of that. I've got 9. 9 is my floor, and 12 is my ceiling for this Baltimore Ravens team. And so we're pretty close on that as far as where we see them. Obviously, we see them as competitors here in the AFC North, as well. So there you go. That's the Ravens. We'll come back to them as we talk about the division as a whole. But let's move on now, Dad, to where you are, the Cincinnati Bengals. And intrigued to see how things go for the Bengals this year. Let's get things kicked off with a breakout player in Cincinnati. What do you have for that?
Well, again, a key to the Bengals' success with all the offensive firepower they got is the offensive line. And a guy that they're really counting on this year is Amarius Mims, the offensive tackle. So I'll go with him to have a breakout year and help really set that line up.
Yeah, I mean, offensive line has been a big sticking point for Cincinnati for the last couple of years for sure. They need someone on defense to be a breakout player because, well, they have a very good offense. But I'm going to go offense as well, Dad, and I'm going to go with running back Chase Brown. In the fantasy conversations I've had on Tuesday nights on the Belly Up Fantasy Live Football Show, Chase Brown kind of gets kicked down the way a little bit. And there's a lot of guys that aren't super big on Chase Brown, not sure what he's going to add to the table this year from the running back position for Cincinnati. And I just look at it and I go, okay, they just signed Noah Fant today, the tight end. You've got 2 of the top receivers in the league, Jamar Chase, maybe the top receiver, T. Higgins as well. Chase Brown, things should open up for him, should be open for him, and I think he's going to have a big season. So I'm going Chase Brown as my breakout player. And then I'll take a turn, Dad, at the make or break player for Cincinnati this year. I'm going to go with a linebacker that signed in free agency against someone, Dad, that you and I know, and that's Oren Burks. Oren Burks had a great year in Philadelphia this year, really a breakout year, in all honesty. And what I look at now is what you see is a good Super Bowl team, everything goes well, and then these guys take advantage of the contracts they can get in free agency. Oren Burks has always been an incredibly athletic player, but he's not found his niche really until last year when he showed up. So now he's changing scenery. If he stayed in Philadelphia, I'd like him a lot more for this year. But I think now with a change of scenery to Cincinnati, will they use him the same way? Will they find his strengths or not? And this is kind of the year for Oren Burks to prove he can play anywhere versus just in the perfect situation in Philadelphia. So he's my make or break player for Cincinnati. Dad, who do you have for your make or break player?
Well, I'm on the defense also because, again, their defense has to improve. And their nickelback, Dax Hill, is a guy that, has to have a good year. The defensive backs are going to have – somebody's going to have to step up pretty quick. So Dax Hill seems to be one at the nickelback they're really keeping an eye on.
Yeah, Dax Hill, first-round pick in 2022. And again, kind of like that offensive line, it seems like that cornerback position has been a little in flux over the last couple of years. And they've brought people in, free agents and draft picks. Still has never been as strong as it should be, and Dax Hill would be a big reason for that. So they definitely need him to do well. When we go to the depth chart battles, I see the defensive line as the thing to watch for here. Lots of guys that play into this, TJ Slayton, BJ Hill, two veteran defensive tackles. They've got a few other guys, second and third round picks from last season, actually, and Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson there. On the edges, you've got Joseph Osai, and he signed finally the rookie, Shamar Stewart. Still haven't signed Trey Hendrickson. They need to get that figured out. Miles Murphy's still there, first-round pick in 2023. Cam Sample's around. Cedric Johnson's around. Like, how's it all going to play in? It's not really one position, I suppose. But that defensive line, there's open competition on the defensive line for people to get snaps this year in Cincinnati. So that's kind of what I'm keeping my eye on there. Dad, depth chart situation in Cincinnati, what are you keeping your eye on?
Well, again, as I've read a little bit about them, there'll be a pretty good battle for the strong safety position. You got a guy named Jordan Battle, which that's a great name for a battle, and Von Bell fighting for the strong safety. And again, the defense has got to be solidified.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does for sure. I agree with you 100%. All right, win total in Cincinnati, 9.5 wins is what they have it set out in Vegas. I've got the floor for Cincinnati at 8, which I know is low, but that's where I've got it at. And I've got their ceiling at 11 this year for Cincinnati. Dad, what do you see in floor and ceiling for Cincinnati?
Well, I'm just a little above you. I've got the floor at 9 and the ceiling at 12. I think they'll rebound. If not, there's just going to be major chaos here in Cincinnati. So the key will be getting off to a good start. But, I have the floor at 9 and ceiling at 12.
Yeah, when I looked at their schedule, I was expecting to be more in the 10 to 12 range. And, man, there's a lot of losable games in Cincinnati this year. And so they need the defense to show up immensely here in Cincinnati this year. Again, we'll come back to this as we recap the whole division in a moment. Let's go to the next team that we're going to discuss tonight, and that is the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns, they had a major offseason. I mean, all kinds of things going on. Not all of it good, but nonetheless, a lot going on in the offseason. Let's start with a breakout player in Cleveland. Dad, who do you have for that?
Wide receiver Cedric Turner, a guy to pick it up and, be what he needs to be there.
Okay. Cedric, probably Cedric Tillman, right?
Cedric Turner, right.
Okay. And so you got him, third round pick in 2023. So good thing to keep an eye on. I actually considered him also. I would go with another rookie, though, for Cleveland, and that's going to be the tight end, Harold Fannin. We talked about tight ends on Tuesday night on the fantasy show, and talked about Njoku a lot in that episode and kind of discussed whether or not he's going to be the guy still in Cleveland, or will Harold Fannin take over? And I think Fannin just fits really what they want on the offense. If Flacco's the quarterback, it still may be Njoku for the first part of the season, but I think ultimately Harold Fannin has a major season as a rookie this season in Cleveland. Make or break, Dad, who do you have for the make or break player?
Again, offensive line, I got the offensive tackle, DeJuan Jones.
Okay.
To see if he can solidify there.
Yeah, and we could probably talk about that I wasn't planning on it, but depth chart battles as well. They signed Cornelius Lucas in the offseason. DeJuan Jones, fourth-round pick in 2023. Really the youngest guy, I think, on the offensive line as far as projected starters go So it'd be big if he had a big year. I go Kenny Pickett. I know that's low hanging fruit, but Kenny Pickett this year, he's in a battle to start. And if he can win that battle, boy, that goes a long way for his career. If he loses the battle to I think Joe Flacco's at least my age, maybe not. You lose that battle, then what does that mean? He's a forever backup after that point. This is kind of his last chance to legitimately get a chance to start in the league, I think, and prove that he can do it. So I'm going to go there. Depth chart battle goes the same for me. Quarterback obviously is the big one that we're watching to see what goes on in the depth chart and who wins those jobs. Flacco, Kenny Pickett, do one of the rookies step up? We don't anticipate they will at the beginning of the season, at least. But maybe less easy than that is the safety position as well. Grant Delpit's probably pretty safe. Ronnie Hickman is slotted in as the free safety, but two big signings this offseason, Seattle's Rayshon Jenkins and Pittsburgh's DeMonte Kazi are there. So veterans to come in to compete with Ronnie Hickman there at the safety position. So keep an eye out on that as far as depth chart goes. Dad, depth chart battle for you in Cleveland.
Well, I really couldn't get past the quarterback. I mean, That's going to be the big thing. Hopefully Joe Flacco is not my age and maybe closer to yours. But anyhow, just to see which way they can go. Are they going to get settled? Is it going to be a revolving door all year? That'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. What about ceiling and floor? Win total's 4.5 for Cleveland.
Yeah, I wanted, I'd like for Cleveland to be able to get back a little bit to where they were, but boy, you look at the schedule and just the uncertainty right now. I have the floor at 3 and I have the ceiling at 6, and that's probably pretty high.
Okay, so that's I've got them at 4 and 8. I got 4 as the floor, 8 as the ceiling. I don't see them getting to 8. But there's just enough games there, that it could happen, I suppose. You look at this division; it's a tough division, so that already bodes not well for Cleveland. Their schedule isn't super kind to them either. Quarterback situation's not pretty. Quinshon Judkins has already been arrested at running back. So there's a lot of things that are going on. They're going to have drama whether they want it or not at the quarterback's position as well. So, yeah, I think that they're picking in the top 3 again of the draft this year. At least standings-wise, that's where they end up at, in my opinion, as well. All right, Pittsburgh's our final stop here in the AFC North. Let's go. And again, talking about offseason, Pittsburgh's had one of those as well. Lots of changes, a lot of veteran moves. Of course, the main story this offseason has been, for the Pittsburgh at least, has been Aaron Rodgers coming over at the quarterback position. They also bring in DK Metcalf. They also bring in Robert Woods. They also bring in Jonnu Smith. And defensively, they draft Derek Harmon in the first round. They signed Darius Slay from Philadelphia. Jalen Ramsey comes over from Miami, and Juan Thornhill from Cleveland at the safety spot as well. So a lot of moves this offseason for Pittsburgh, and there's a lot of question marks, and we've talked a fair amount about that already on this program. So, Dad, let's get things started with a breakout player. If we can be positive for a moment about Pittsburgh, who's the breakout player for the Steelers this year?
Well, if Pittsburgh's going to have a positive moment, they're going to need the offensive line. So I'll go with Broderick Jones, the offensive tackle. And, if he can solidify things up there, give some leadership and help, then it will carry them a long ways.
Okay, yeah, for sure. They're going to have to protect their quarterback because he's not as mobile as he used to be. I'm going to go on the defensive line, and again, I'm going to go with a rookie. It's kind of a strange division for me with breakout players. But I'm going Derek Harmon, the defensive end. They're opposite of Cam Hayward, first-round pick. One of the higher-rated tackles on my big board coming into this offseason, defensive lineman, that is. And so I like what he's doing so far in camp. I'm interested to watch him play and see what happens from there as well. Make or break player, Dad, for Pittsburgh. Who do you have?
Well, I've got Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah.
If he's going to continue to have a career, then again, he has to be able to get it restarted here And, with everything going on there, that could be a tough situation.
I'm 100% with you. That's who I have as well, Jalen Ramsey. I mean, again, he's had injuries. He's been moved around. He was the kind of the side piece of this trade. We knew that Steelers wanted Jonnu Smith all along. They ended up getting Jalen Ramsey also. And, for the casual fan, they thought, oh, man, Jalen Ramsey, that's awesome. But Pittsburgh was going for Jonnu Smith for a long time. And they end up with Jalen Ramsey also. This is a big year for him. Again, he's opposite of Darius Slay, so he's got a good corner, or he's playing nickel probably to some degree too. Joey Porter Jr. is there as well, so they have good cornerbacks outside of him. What will his role be? How will he play it? This will be probably the best opportunity for him as far as to showcase his skills, because he's got other guys on the field that are going to make them throw his way at some point as well. So I'm with you on that one, Dad. Depth chart battles. I'm going to go running back. I love Caleb Johnson, the rookie. I think he's going to be the running back one this season. Jaylen Warren is there. They also bring in Kenneth Gainwell from Philadelphia. They also brought in Trey Sermon from Indianapolis. So, but Caleb Johnson and Jaylen Warren, how are they going to split the snaps for these guys? Again, I think it's Caleb Johnson, the large majority, but Jaylen Warren has some history there as well. So I think that's one to watch. Dad, when you look at the depth chart in Pittsburgh, who are you watching?
Well, I think it's got to be wide receiver. The quarterback's got to find somebody to throw to. And part of it is, who can show their ability. But part of it, like you said on your football show, is who can get along with the quarterback. And so I think seeing if they can get one or two wide receivers that can be on the field and get some continuity with Aaron Rodgers will be key.
Yeah, Rodgers needs to trust who he's throwing to. That's just the way he's always been. So I think DK Metcalf has that trust to a degree already. I think Jonnu Smith does as well, actually, which brings me to the question about tight end, Dad. I've said on the Tuesday show, Freiermuth, I just can't believe he's going to stick around. He seems not happy. You've seen the video clip of him out in practice throwing his hands up in the air, and Jonnu Smith comes in. They obviously wanted him. Arthur Smith loves Jonnu Smith. He's had him on every team he's coached on. So when you look at the situation with Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith, do you think this goes smoothly this season and they have two good tight ends, or do you think this actually causes more problems?
I think you were right what you said on your show. I think it'll cause more problems because, again, Rodgers gets comfortable with one. That's the way it's going to be. I don't know that he's ever been great with two tight ends. He has had, two tight ends from there. But, Jonnu Smith may very well be the guy that fits right in.
All righty. Then let's go to the win total of 8.5 for Pittsburgh. Let's look at the floor and the ceiling. Dad, when you look at 8.5 wins, the floor and the ceiling for Pittsburgh, how do you see it matching up?
Yeah, I don't have it to get to 8.5. I've got 8 as the ceiling and 6 as the floor. Again, I wanted to give them a little more benefit of the doubt, but when I looked at the schedule, that's kind of what I came up with. 6 at the floor and 8 at the ceiling.
I'm with you. Exactly. 6 with the floor. And I saw that I same way. I thought I would probably be 7 and 9 is where I was kind of figuring I'd end up at. I looked through the schedule though, and I'm going, oh my goodness. Like, I think Rodgers has a better year than he had the last 2 years. Obviously 2 years ago, injured, didn't play more than 2 snaps, I think. And then last year didn't go well in New York. I think he has a better year, but I don't think he gets back to Aaron Rodgers that we know, from the past. And again, I think there's drama on this team, and I don't think it's good drama. I don't think it's the kind that, challenges and pushes people. I think it has a lot of potential to implode pretty badly in Pittsburgh. And I've said all along, if it's going to work, if Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf are going to work, it has to be in Pittsburgh. I don't know anywhere else that it could even come close to working. Maybe Kansas City, which obviously that wasn't going to happen. So We'll see. Can Mike Tomlin corral it in? Neither of us really think so with 6 and 8, 6 floor and 8 ceiling for Pittsburgh this year. So yeah, I don't think it's going to be pretty for Pittsburgh this season. How do you see the division breaking down? I think I know how this goes, but how do you see the division breaking down?
Well, I think Baltimore is the top team right now. Harbaugh's a great coach. They've got weapons. They've got players. The Cincinnati, I think, will be second, but the question is, can they rebound? They've got the ability. They got off to such a bad start last year. So if they could stay just even with the pack to start out with, but like you said, they have some scheduling issues. But I would have Baltimore, Cincinnati. Then I think Pittsburgh will be next, and Cleveland would be at the bottom. But again, Cleveland, maybe they can get something going and surprise. They've got defensive weapons. So it just depends. Can they score points? And they're going to have to surprise some people, no doubt about that. I agree with you. I think Pittsburgh will implode. I think they'll implode quickly. You and I have talked about this before, and you don't agree with me, but the next Pittsburgh coach is going to be Mike McCarthy, and it'll probably be next year.
Yeah, I definitely don't agree with you on that. There was a day I would have believed that and agreed with you on that, but I don't agree with it anymore. But I agree with you as far as the breakdown of the division goes. I got Baltimore 1. They're just the most complete team. I've got Cincinnati 2 because their defense scares me in the wrong way. It scares me that they're not going to show up. I asked the question on Tuesday's show. I said, how many points will the Bengals defense need to hold teams to in order for them to win? And I believe the answer was 30. So yeah, it's not ideal for Cincinnati, the defense that is. But Trey Hendrickson signs and Shamar Stewart ends up being good and all this kind of stuff. That can turn around pretty quickly because they only have to be okay. They don't have to be great. And so I've got the Bengals second. I've got the Steelers third, and I've got the Browns last. And I just don't know. They've got some good young players, but this year is not the year for Cleveland, I don't think, either. And then you talk about Pittsburgh. We can talk about coaches. Pittsburgh, if they fire Tomlin, which they've been very patient, they always have been patient with their coaches. If they don't get to 8 wins, if they don't get to 9 wins, if they fire Tomlin, I just would be shocked if they go older versus younger. And by younger, I'm talking about in their 40s, as their next coach as well, because they like the longevity aspect of it as well. So I think that's something to watch out for. The other thing, Dad, that came out this week, is John Gruden saying, I want one more shot. I want one more chance at coaching. I mean, why wouldn't, if they're going to hire an offensive coach, why not John Gruden instead of Mike McCarthy?
Well, Mike McCarthy's from Pittsburgh. He's going to be available. He's won a Super Bowl. I think it just fits from the Pittsburgh thing. John Gruden wants another chance to coach. I think he'll keep wanting another chance to coach. Okay. And I don't see Pittsburgh coming out of all the problems they're going to have this year wanting to jump into John Gruden.
Yeah, fair enough. I think you got to watch out for some Ohio State ties as well down there. Maybe, Ryan Day, if he has another great season in Ohio State. Maybe you even go Urban Meyer. Maybe you go other places. But that's a conversation for later in the season when we talk coaching hot seats. And maybe before the season starts, we'll have a segment on that as well. Some quick NFL news. Terry McLaurin, things aren't working out in Washington. He officially requests a trade. Will he get traded? Will he get signed? We will see. Bengals do sign Noah Fant today to a 1-year deal. Lions extend Anzalone as well here. Lots of offensive linemen getting some contracts. Still some rookies that need to sign as well. But we're all in. We're all into camp now. And, Dad, I want to just kind of close with this thought on the Hall of Fame game that's going to be kicking off here in 8 minutes. As a kid, I loved it. I loved preseason. I especially loved watching the Packers because I got to see the backups and all that good stuff. I don't know. Where are you at now when it comes to Hall of Fame game? First football games since the Super Bowl, NFL game since the Super Bowl. How you feeling about the Hall of Fame game tonight?
Well, I mean, I'll watch for a little bit because it's exciting to be kicking off the season, but preseason football has changed so much. Like I said, watching the Packers, that's great because I know all the second string, third string guys that are fighting for a spot. So that'll be fun. And, in another week, I'm going to get to see 2 of their 3 games I saw this year. So that will be fun. From there, actually, the Packers have their big family night practice tomorrow night, and I'll watch that more than I'll probably watch the game tonight. But, the Hall of Fame game is still that, but you just don't have the marquee players playing. But it's exciting that, the NFL's officially starting.
For sure. So, yeah, when I look at it, I'm kind of the same way as you, Dad. I go, yeah, I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to watch the first bit. I've talked about Trey Lance, talked about him on Tuesday night. I want to see him play. And so I'm excited to watch it for a little bit here until my wife says, do we have to watch this? And I turn it over. But looking forward to the start of it tonight. We've got so much football coming up. I mean, college football. When we get through these NFL previews, we have a lot to talk about to get ready for kickoffs in these seasons, both college and professional football. So keep an eye out on bellyupsports.com. I'm going to have some articles dropping here, hopefully within the next week or two when it comes to some college football things going on there as well. You can always follow us on social media at Sports Stove is the Twitter and Instagram account. And you can follow lots of things. We'll talk some baseball on there also, but make sure you check that out as well. Check out our sponsors, Righteous Felon Jerky. Join the flavor revolution, righteousfelon.com. Promo code STOVE15. It's going to get you 15% off your purchase. All right, so next week, a couple exciting things going on. First of all, Sunday night, you can catch me on the Belly Up Fantasy Live Baseball Show with Kevin Wilson. We're going to be talking about all this Major League Baseball trade stuff. We'll cover that Sunday night. Tuesday night, you can catch me on the Belly Up Fantasy Live Football Show. We're talking fantasy football on Tuesday night. Looking forward to that conversation. Then next Thursday, Dad, we haven't discussed this, but I'm assuming we're doing a show next Thursday, and I will be at Dad's studio next Thursday. And so we'll try to get an episode in. And then on the weekend, follow Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. We are going to be at the Fantasy Football Expo and putting out all kinds of content from there. So if you're up in the Canton area next weekend and you go to the Fantasy Football Expo, swing by the Belly Up Sports table, say hello. We'd sure love to catch up with you and chat with you there as well. Dad, anything else to add before we close up today?
Nope, I think that will do it. And like I said, we're getting close to fantasy football, so it's time to be more fun to be thinking about that all the time.
Yeah. I've created one league already this week, and I'm getting ready to create another one for our family. And I'm already in several other leagues. I'm going to be over my ankles in this one. But nonetheless, it'll be a good time. Good time for sure. All right. That's it for today's episode of the Sports Stove Football Show. We sure appreciate you tuning in and hope that we'll see you again next week. But have a great time watching the Hall of Fame game. Have a great time cheering on your favorite baseball team this week. And hopefully we'll see you right back here next Thursday. This has been another edition of the Sports Stove Football Show. Until next time, we'll see you around the Sports Stove.